I think trust is important in higher education because we are all human beings. We are fallible. We make mistakes. And having a trusting environment within which it's safe to do so and knowing that one can confidently learn from those mistakes on the way to becoming more competent is important. So trust wins.
Well, I can talk from the academics perspective and say that if you don't have trust between, for example, the Vice Chancellor and the academics, the deans and the academics, I don't understand how you can work. It just becomes like a business, like an enterprise. And universities aren't businesses in that way. So if you don't have that trust in a leader, not a manager, to sort of lead, help develop further an academic project, then what's the point of working at a university? What's the point of having one? That's my bit.
If there is no trust, then already it affects the productivity, it affects everything, the contributions of people, being excluded, feeling excluded, feeling not seen, unseen, not valued. So for me, trust is everything.
We need trust in higher education so we have a foundation to be and learn and teach with one another for a hopeful future.
We need trust because education is about humanizing, and we cannot have humans unless they're part of communities, and communities can exist without trust.
We need trust because you can't get educated all by yourself. Being in education puts you into relationships with other people and institutions, and without trust, that's kind of going to fall apart somewhat.
Look, for me, I think trust is a fundamental element of the university. I think university is a community in a sense that different diverse groups come to exist in a university. And for me, diversity without trust becomes meaningless, because if you have diversity of different groups and you want to create an inclusive institutional culture, and without trust, I don't see that happening, because all these different groups will mistrust each other, skeptical about each other's capacity. So for me, I think trust becomes fundamental in creating an inclusive but also transformative institutional cultures for diverse groups to coexist, but also from an epistemic position. If we decolonizing epistemology and ontology, different knowledges need to coexist, but if we trust one type of knowledge compared to the other, then we won't be able to talk of decolonized knowledge, because in order for us to talk of decolonized knowledge, we have to trust knowledge produced in Africa, not only by men, but also by women. So we don't only talk about the founding fathers of Europe, who are mainly male, white. So we talk about all knowledges. So if we talk about pluriversal ways of being and knowing, then trust is a fundamental element of a university. So I think that's why trust for me is important.
Without trust, what is there? It's absolutely essential. Because trust is the foundation of relationships. Trust is the foundation of the relationship with society. Trust is the essence of how our way of being in the world. So why would we think that trust was not essential to higher education?
So because the broader context is that there is an overall decline in trust, and I think because of the stakeholders within higher education, it's getting like more complicated. I mean, it's also about whether the students are trusting the institutions, whether the society are trusting institutions, whether the institutions, what role it play in the larger society. So I think all these things kind of come together and make it pretty complicated.
Why?
I mean, every relationship that is meaningful to me is built on trust. So it's part of who we are as human beings, and we're nothing without it, you know?
I suppose we need trust in higher education because people place an enormous amount of responsibility on us. Your undergraduate students, postgraduate students, doctoral students, higher education is very, very expensive. And it takes a lot of time out of our lives. And it's not just our time, it's our family's time, it's our friends' time. It's a lot of hopes and expectations that our students carry with us. And they have to be able to trust us because we have an enormous moral and ethical social responsibility. And if they don't trust us, then we can't deliver on that responsibility. And then what is higher education for? So that's why we need trust. So we can fulfill our moral and ethical responsibility, not only to students, but to the communities and the societies they're part of.
Because higher education is an ecosystem. There is the students who come in, there are the practitioners, there is the society, and all those people have expectations. And that expectation is grounded on trust. And so if there's no trust, there are no expectations. And if there are no expectations, higher education loses meaning.
Heard a really incredible range of understandings and also looking at different role players and the relationships between them. But for me, what's come out over and over again is two words: relationships and humanity. And I think somehow trust is deeply entwined with the idea that a university is all about relationships, educational relationships, caring relationships, managing relationships, leading relationships, and about treating each other as human beings with very full lives and dreams and desires. And that we need to recognize this value and richness of the institution and embed that with trust.